Hi, it's Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book on record to play for you. Today's book is Cinderella from 1976. So let's get started.
Hi, boys and girls. This is Mr. Magic. All ready to enjoy your magic media talking story? Just follow along in your book with the storyteller, and when you hear this signal, turn the page. Now, let's begin.
This is the story of Cinderella. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl named Cinderella who had a cruel stepmother and two selfish stepsisters. Cinderella was a good girl, but she was often sad. She had to wash the dishes, scrub the floors, and tend the fireplaces. Her stepsisters would not help her. They wore beautiful gowns and were allowed to go to parties. But Cinderella had to stay home and dress in rags. One day her stepmother said, "Go upstairs at once and help your sisters. They have been invited to a ball at the palace tonight. See that they look their very best. Then maybe the prince will marry one of them." Scornfully she added, "You can't go, of course. The prince would not look at you." Cinderella helped her sisters put on their beautiful dresses. She polished their shoes and dressed their hair. But the ugly sisters were unkind to her. They laughed at her and taunted her because she could not go to the ball. Cinderella wept as she watched them go off to the palace. Then, suddenly, an old lady appeared at the window. She asked kindly, "Do you want very much to attend the ball?" "Yes. Oh, yes. But I have no beautiful gown," said Cinderella tearfully. "Don't cry, dear child," said the old lady. "I'm your fairy godmother. I will help you." She found a large pumpkin in the garden and placed it on a bench where some field mice were playing. Then she touched the pumpkin with her magic wand, and it turned into a shining golden coach. Next, she waved her hand over the mice, and they turned into 4 beautiful white horses. Finally, she changed 2 frogs into handsome coachmen. "Now you can go to the ball." "But how can I go dressed in these rags?" sighed Cinderella. The fairy godmother touched Cinderella with her wand. Immediately, Cinderella's rags became silken garments. She wore a crown on her head and glass slippers on her tiny feet. Then the fairy godmother said, "Off you go now, but you must be home by midnight. When the clock strikes 12, everything will change. The coach will become a pumpkin. The horses will be mice, and you will be in rags once again." Cinderella was often sad. Rags were the clothes she had. Her fairy godmother waved her wand high. Cinderella was lovely in the twinkling of an eye. What a wonderful, lovely sight. What a sweet and a pure delight. But magic only lasts so long. She must be back home tonight. No one recognized Cinderella when she entered the ballroom, not even her stepsisters. Everyone remarked how beautiful she was. The prince danced with her all evening and paid no attention to the other girls. "Ah, she is the sweetest and most beautiful girl I have ever known," he thought. While she was dancing, Cinderella happened to see the ballroom clock. It was 1 minute to midnight. She remembered what her fairy godmother had told her. "I must go home now. Thank you for For the most wonderful evening of my life, she said to the prince.
You can't go home yet. I don't even know your name or where you live.
But before he could stop her, Cinderella ran down the ballroom steps and into her coach. She ran so fast that one of her glass slippers fell off. But she dared not stop to pick it up. The prince rushed after Cinderella, but it was too late. She was gone. The beautiful white horses galloped home. When the clock struck 12, Cinderella was in her rags again. The horses were mice, the coach was a pumpkin, and the coachmen were frogs. Cinderella quickly went to bed. When the others came home, they had no idea that Cinderella had been to the ball. The next day, the prince knocked at the door. He explained,
I have a glass slipper here. I am looking for the girl whose foot will fit it. May I come in?
The ugly sisters tried the slipper on. They pushed and pushed, but their feet were much too big. Then the prince came to Cinderella. She was startled when she saw it was the slipper she had lost.
Please, try it on, he said.
The ugly sisters laughed.
It won't fit that ragamuffin.
Cinderella took off her shoe and slipped her foot into the glass slipper. It fit perfectly. She looked at the prince and smiled happily. He exclaimed,
You are the princess of last evening, the most beautiful girl I have ever seen. Will you marry me?
So Cinderella and the prince rode off to his palace. There they were married at once and lived happily ever after.
Cinderella is free at last to forget her unhappy past. She had worked all her life without family or friend, but her goodness got back its reward in the end. And she now has a life of glee, with a future so bright to see. The prince and Cinderella now live together so happily.
So that was Cinderella from 1976. If you like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a groovy day. Our next book will be Funny Bunny.